Вітання.
We greet you from Ukraine Crisis Media Center. Now we have a community spokespersons program. And if you are a skeptic of decentralization, this is not for you because no one can convince you. This information is for those who are ready to change themselves and who are ready to have these changes in their community and in the country. This is for those who can stop condemning the difficulties and take responsibility in their own hands for the future in the communities where they live. This is a joint initiative of UCMC and DOBRE project, and for the start, I would like to tell you about reform. This reform is ongoing for fourth year and is directed to create proper conditions of life for each citizen in each territory, and to provide proper services in education, healthcare, culture, communal services. And as of today in Ukraine, 850 communities were created. These are united territorial communities in the framework of the reform. And Vyshnivetska community, amalgamated community, is represented here today by its head, Volodymyr Kravets. Good afternoon. So first question, your community was created in 2016. Nine settlements got united, 9,000 of people got united. So what was the motivation for this unification? What motivated the residents to create this amalgamated community? Good afternoon, everyone. I believe that 2016 is not really related. At that time, I was a businessman. I had the enterprise, agricultural enterprise, Good Samaritan, it was called, and we had some good heads of villages, Volodymyr Kravets, and I believe that this was their initiative, whether we have this community or not, because they understood that we should move forward, and they took decision. And they held some meetings with communities in order to submit the documents in 2016 to amalgamate all these settlements that they had. And in 2016, elections were held, and I didn't plan to take part in these elections, but I understood that for 27 years of independence, I saw that there were no roads, no pavements, no education, healthcare. I understood that we need to do something, and I took decision to show how, with small money, but with a good team, we can do something. And I took decision to participate in elections. So the motivation for creation of community was to provide changes in the territories of those communities. Vladimir, I won't ask how the community started. You said that 25 or 27 years, nothing was done in the territory, no roads, no proper healthcare, education, and all communities started with the restoration of the infrastructure. And if we are speaking about two previous days, there was a huge conference of DOBRE program, strategic development and investment. And I would like to continue our discussion within the framework of local economic development. In order to build the economy, what is needed? To have a clear strategy of actions for short, mid, and long prospects. And this is all should be done. And if we look at Vyshnivetska community, what are your steps and how you see your strategy, how you build your local economy? So first, during the first days, these days were sad for me. I started to visit community settlements, I visited schools and other institutions, and I was shocked. What shocked you? I traveled to 4 schools, and they didn't have such a room or cloakroom or some attic or some basement. So I took a lighter with me because And I photoed all these places, and I was really surprised that these premises were really in some bad conditions. Our schools were really in bad conditions. And there was a lot of disorder, and they were in such a state. Something should have been done with it. And I started to travel on the streets, and I didn't know that Vyshnivetska is this village of the urban type, because they do not have hard pavement, and you should wear rubber boots in order to just muddle through. And first days, I didn't think about economic development. I just wanted to provide some order to all of this. And then we formed a team, and we started step by step to move forward. And the budget was adopted. And it was done really quickly, because elections happened at the end of December, and the budget on the 30th and was adopted. They didn't influence on it, but thanks to enterprise Good Samaritans, these are the sponsors of the Vyshnivetska community, and due to other enterprises that we have in our community, starting spring, we started to repair our roads, starting spring 2017. Yes. And 2 million were allocated for infrastructure, 2.5 million of grivnas, and we provided them for schools, and we provided roofing for schools in Vyshnivetska community. And in previous years, we have so if there is no corruption, and if we provide good technical advice by small money, we can do really a lot. So we understand that the state of the community, its technical state, is really bad. And you said about the roofing for schools, and I would like to continue with the topic of education. So external appearance changes, but can community provide help and to provide new quality of education in the community in order that children get proper quality of education? In 2017, we created the education department, and we provide properly for education, and we have a young person, Vyshnivetska, and now she has this department. And a week ago, we visited Estonia, and we saw the education sphere there, and the equipment for schools that is there. And we do a lot in this area, and all principals of the school, they are now work under contracts, and we had competition for the positions of the principals of the school in autumn, and I believe that they will provide new quality of education and proper attitude towards children, and I believe that children and their parents will feel that community really care about their children, about their education, and I think that we will see these results soon in our community. So when this reform was started, there was a lot of skepticism. People said that reform will close these kindergartens and schools. Do you have this? Fortunately, we do not have this. Our schools are full of children. We have 4 schools and 3 kindergartens, and they are also full, and there is full financing for them, so we do not have problems in education sphere. So we have problems in healthcare. So if you have full schools, and we will return to medicine later, but first I would like to speak about economic development. If schools are full, so your community will have the future. And those people who will become adults soon, what should be provided for them? All necessary conditions in order to develop. They need to have recreation and all conditions for children, like they have this in cities. So communities started negotiations with the German and Austrian companies to have cooperation, but I do not have information whether you have some plans. So we had cooperation with the Austrian company about electric station, but we didn't manage to launch the project because there is a Polish enterprise again that also works in this area, and for us it was difficult for us to get 64,000 tons of straw in order to start this electric station. But now we work in the other area. We try to develop our own business in order to broaden our enterprises, and we try to create such conditions. If they need land plots, they can get them without any corruption, without any agreement. So we have land plots, and we put them on auction, and anyone who have a wish, they can participate in these auctions. Also, we plan to include in our 2019 budget funds to support local entrepreneurs. Maybe someone wants to start their own business in order that they were able to work and pay taxes, and we work in this direction. So you said that you teach entrepreneurs to pay taxes, and whether you succeed in this. I believe yes, and I believe that this is the main problem now. I said that it is not enough just to wear embroidered shirts. We should pay taxes, and these taxes should be used for the development of the economy and the country, because for 27 years the state used this potential that was put during Soviet times, and now it is obsolete, and now we should build new roads, kindergarten, schools, where it is necessary, but without proceeds to the budget, it won't happen. And someone believed that they can get some benefits from abroad. They believe that the money will be provided, and we won the grant, $150,000, but it is difficult to use them because 30 or 50% of our own money should be put, but it is difficult to allocate this money. But we try to use this money. And we have meetings with entrepreneurs, and honestly speaking, after the first meeting, we increased proceedings to the budget of Vyshnivetska community because entrepreneurs understood that this money will be used honestly. They will be used for the benefit of infrastructure and for the improvements in the schools and kindergartens for children. And they see this in reality. When they go to school or to the kindergarten, they see that repair works were done and that there is proper development of the village. So I believe that commons are not necessary in this area. So people may not see who pays what. So only fiscal bodies see this. So first of all, we had the same situation, but I'm a businessman and I got accustomed to control, and I asked my accountant, and she said that I got on the overall sum, for example, 300,000, and then we bought some software, and now we have a deputy on proceeds. There is Vitaly Klavdievich, and each day he may see who paid what each day, whether it is payment for land or income tax or payment for land. So I do not see problem in this. So you just should install 2 software programs on your computer. Maybe some people do not pay. Maybe some people have salaries in the envelopes. I believe so. Yes, there are such people, but now maybe we should have maybe some inspectors, employment experts, maybe there can be some commission that can come to businessmen and to see whether these people are employed and properly. And we understand that it can happen so when we send inspector, for example, to an entrepreneur, and maybe not everyone is employed legally. So we ask to businessmen to employ people properly. And I believe that entrepreneurs understand this, and we see that our proceeds increase, and we see that businessmen started to employ people legally. It is really great when the situation changes. So the government provides proper support, including financial support, and also there are many international donors that help. And I know that you have project manager who established cooperation with international donor organizations. Is it difficult to cooperate with these organizations, to establish cooperation? There are some difficulties to attract them. But if you show that you really work, and the donors see that money is used properly, and these are for wise projects that are really needed, not just to take this money from donors. So there won't be any problems with getting donor support. There will be other problems. We should have our own money in our budget, because donors, they want to co-finance 30 or 50%, and we should have our own money in the budget, and we work in order to fulfill our budget, and we rely more on our own forces. How young people respond to the changes? Do they join these changes to build the new community? I believe that Vyshnivetska community, young people in the community really join. We have Tzvit and Joe. This is not just some pocket organization of the power. This is a real organization that earned some grants to improve territory, and also they participate in adoption of the budget and in any changes that are taking place in our community. So this NGO takes part in this all. And also there was adoption of budget for 2019, and we spread the booklets in order that people understand where money will go. And they had the box, and they could provide their comments, and I asked them to provide information about real situation, about real projects, what can be done in 2019 in Vyshnivetska community due to this budget. And we created Youth Center of Recreation and Culture, and it works perfectly. And a lot of children are involved from different settlements, and the center goes to these villages, and they hold some work, have some work with young people. And I believe that we will be able to show good results in order that young people remain. But in order that they remain, we should have places of work. We need good projects, infrastructure projects, some recreation for young people. In this situation, they will remain in small villages, such as Vyshnivetska, Bubutino, Stare Vyshny, because you understand that young people often travel in big cities or abroad. Poland is not far away from us, and it is difficult to hold this youth. And in the territory of the community, I know that it doesn't belong to you, but you have Vyshnivetski Palace. This is called Versailles, because it was built by French architect. Shevchenko and Kostomarov and Honoré de Balzac visited this palace. Whether your community thought how to use this pearl of your community in order to attract tourists and people. And in this way, you may also develop your community. So really, We have a palace in our community, but it doesn't belong to us. We do not own it, but we participate. If help is needed, we provide some equipment, but there are many tourists. And we started repair works of the squares and the pavement. We understood that tourists, they want to have hotels, and unfortunately we do not have one, but I believe that in the future we'll be able to use this palace for our purposes in order to get more money to the budget, but unfortunately it is not well developed, I mean, the tourism. So I believe that this is the pearl, and your community should use it properly. Vladimir, now we are speaking about the reform of local governance, but I would like to speak also about you as the leader of the community, because a lot depends on leaders. Before heading the community, you were not an official in local government. You created your own business. Was it easy or difficult? I know that you traveled abroad 5 years, and now you get 85% of support of the people. So this is a big responsibility. Why do you need this? Honestly speaking, my family was against this because my family understand my approach to work. So I do my work really properly, and my work is of high quality, and my wife understood that if I would go there, I will pay a lot of attention to this community, and maybe my family will suffer from this, and there will be lack of attention to my family. But I took this decision because I got tired to see all this, what is going on. I am really didn't want to wait for changes in education and healthcare. I decided to join the process and to provide proper results. I had the community for 2 years, and now you may see this new stadium, pavements, and reconstruction of schools, schoolyards, and in Podarki village. For 27 years, they didn't have a kindergarten, and we opened a wonderful kindergarten there. And they have such kindergartens in America. So I'm not a bureaucrat. I do not sit on my working place. I have too much energy. And I travel to I want to see what is going on in the streets, in the kindergartens. This is more interesting for me. I feel more comfortable there. So, bureaucrat or not, but you've said that you eradicated corruption in local government, and we fight with the smallest corruption. Whether it is possible at all? Yes, this is possible, because of the simple reason. So if the head does not have had corruption, so this corruption will reduce significantly. So there were some problems within a local government, but we fired them, and now in village council we do not have corruption at all. I do not want to speak about it at all, because we had some problems in schools, but we do not have such principals who were corrupt now. So it is interesting, really. So you do not have a salary, you do not get salary, right? It goes to the card without any premiums, but this card is in the accountant's office. And if some delegations come, so we may take some money from this account. I do not take my salary. I'm not really rich, because I spend a lot of money for some good deeds, and sometimes my family suffer from this, but I won't change in this. And you said that you won't go to the next elections. Maybe you believe that someone else should head the village. We have 3 deputies. They are young, creative people, and I believe that they will be able to manage the community. And I feel myself more an entrepreneur, businessman, and I like to work with land. This is really close to me, and I just wanted to show that something can be done. And if I stay till the end of my term, so the next people, they will see that everything will be good with schools and kindergartens. They just should support all this. So this is really great. Lastly, I would like to ask, what do you want to say to those communities or their leaders who now are in delay, or they're afraid of changes or reforms? What would you say to them? I would like to say that they shouldn't be afraid of reforms. We should go to decentralization. We should get united in communities. But the biggest problem will be if we have non-professional people. Maybe they first of all, we should have people with experience in order that communities feel themselves good. And the biggest problem in our country that in 27 years we didn't manage to build properly working state. There is a lot of corruption in law enforcement, a lot of nepotism, and many different legal issues, and some communities should have joined to Vyshnivetska. Some people really wanted to join to our community, but at the last session in Ternopilsky Oblast council prospect plans were adopted, and people didn't even know what to do and joined other regions, and there is no proper transport connections, and it is all done to someone's benefits. And maybe even people will protest against this. So I have a proposal, but maybe I'm not the first in this. So you headed the community and you changed the situation step by step. Maybe you should head our state and provide changes. Maybe to head the state, I need to have more experience, and maybe at the level of region and oblast, I can do a lot. And I do this for more than 17 years. We build churches, we repair schools and kindergartens. And unfortunately, this is not done by power, who is really obliged to do this. And I believe time will tell what will be done further. And our time is up. We were speaking with the head of Vyshnivetska amalgamated community, Volodymyr Kravets. Thank you. Till next time, goodbye. I wish you good health and that our country would flourish. Thank you.
Дуже було цікаво. Слухайте, хто вам сказав?